Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for Ask the Expert. I'm Catherine, and I'm the virtual coordinator at the National Aphasia Association. The National Aphasia Association is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote public awareness and understanding of aphasia, to promote research that aims to improve the lives of people with aphasia, and to provide support to all persons with aphasia and their caregivers. Tonight's topic is climbing to the top, staying active while living with aphasia. And our experts tonight are Annemarie and Bruce Albiston, who I'll be introducing in just a minute. We've been collecting questions about tonight's topic from our audience through our website, and we'll be answering many of your questions tonight. But if you think of additional questions about our topic tonight for the experts, you can enter them in the Q&A box, and we'll try our best to answer them as well. And you can always use the chat feature as well for your comments. And so now I'm honored to introduce tonight's experts. In 2005, Annemarie's father, Andre, had a massive stroke. And like so many people, it changed his entire world in an instant. An educator for over 40 years, communicating with young adults was his passion. Aphasia left him struggling to carry on a conversation, read, and write. Annemarie and her husband, Bruce, set out to learn as much about aphasia as possible and to make a positive difference for people struggling with this little understood condition. They founded the Aphasia Center of Maine and the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center. So we're so happy to have them here tonight. Thank you both for joining us.
Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi. So we are having technical difficulties also.
Oh, no.
Annemarie is working to get her PowerPoint or presentation on board. So I guess that gives me the opportunity to talk a little bit. And as Catherine mentioned, we formed the Aphasia Center of Maine. We are also the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center. And we have two locations in Maine. We have a lodge at one of the ski mountains called Sugarloaf. And we have a facility in Brunswick, Maine, which is outside Portland, which is a 20-acre campus. And we do a variety of programming. So Annemarie will talk, and when she gets that figured out, she'll go talk about how we got started. It involved her dad and how it's just grown since then. We have been doing programming for, I think we're in our 11th year now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about different sports. And again, I hope if anybody has a question, I can't see anybody, but ask a question anytime. And I guess Catherine can relay it to me. A little bit about my background and a couple of things I want to go over before we start talking about sports or activities. It doesn't have to be a sport. I was involved in the corporate world for quite a while, and I got interested in the adaptive world, started volunteering at a variety of organizations in Maine. And for the last 25 years, I've done a lot of different sports. I learn something new every day. Every person is unique. They have their own challenges. They have their own abilities. So that's one of the really interesting parts of this type of teaching. I lost my place in my thoughts, and it'll take a second to get them back. So the specialties that I have done in my life, I have certifications in several sports. Skiing and sailing are my passions. I my specialty has been blind guiding. So skiing, biking, and sailing. So
Recording in progress.
Here, we've got some feedback. Hang on one second. Looks let me remove this extra account. Welcome, Annemarie.
Sorry.
No worries. You know, Zoom there's so many benefits of being able to connect, and sometimes there's technical difficulties, and we figure it out.
Okay.
Wow.
So if you want, I will finish my first part here.
Great, thank you.
Because there are some things that, as an instructor and working with different people, there are some basic things that an instructor needs to do. And first, our mantra is safety, fun, and learning in anything we do. Key item is being safe, having fun at it, and learning to do the activity that you're doing. To achieve this, the most important thing is trust. So you as a participant need to have trust in me that I am going to keep you safe. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And your interest is my first concern. Once that bridge is crossed, it opens up the instruction part of it to make things much, much easier, because you can relax. Normally people they're on the slope for a variety of reasons. Skiing is probably the one I'll allude to the most. Some folks were skiers and had their whatever happened to them, and other people's were never skiers. And so they're starting new. So it's two totally different ways of approaching how you do your lessons and how you teach. So part of developing trust is getting to know the person, talking to them about what the past sports they did, past activities, their interest, what they're not interested in. I always will watch the person when they come in, how they walk, how they carry themselves, what kind of physical conditioning they're in. Then you need to talk about if there's any medical issues you have to be aware of. And this is a very quick run through on what the process is. Is sight an issue? A lot of people have multiple issues, so you need to be aware of those. How do you communicate? One of the questions I always ask is, what did you have for breakfast? Because with the younger kids, I get so many answers are, well, we stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. I had a cup of coffee and 2 donuts. So you want to be somewhere around 10 to 10:30 because the sugar's going to run out and they're going to crash. So you need to be somewhere where you can get them safely off the slope or whatever you're doing. Then whatever we're doing, we talk about goals. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? What your expectation is? Set a plan for the day. We do the activity. Then at the end of the day, we talk about what we accomplished and then what's the next lesson going to be and what are we going to do for goals for the next time. And one other main thing that's a key element in anything we're doing is watching the participant and making sure when they start to get tired, because that's when the accidents happen. And there's always that famous last run or the last bike ride around the circle, or, you need to make sure you keep the person safe, and being tired is the easiest way to get hurt because too many things can happen. So that in a nutshell is my
It's
teaching.
how we just adapted to this technical difficulty.
So, and again, there's a lot more that goes into this. And with our organization, our goal is to establish a relationship with the person but with whatever activity they're doing, whether it's arts and crafts or climbing or whatever, we want a relationship with that person, because that's the most important thing we do. And the friendships and the camaraderie that develops through the interaction with all the other participants it's amazing to watch, and it's the best part of what we do. So we are a little different than a lot of the adaptive organizations that are out there, but that's our main goal. And I've been talking quite a bit, and I'm going to turn it over to Annemarie.
All right. Hello, welcome. I apologize for the technical challenges this evening. We went through everything. We've now adapted. You got to hear my husband. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you our story. And then I'm going to share various videos of how some of our equipment works. So again, my name is Annemarie Albiston. You've met my husband, Bruce. We formed the Albiston Foundation. And the Albiston Foundation consists of the Aphasia Center of Maine. That's my baby. And the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center, which is kind of what Bruce was alluding to with his conversation. Everyone has a story, right? So briefly, our story is that my father had a massive stroke in 2005. This is a picture of my father. One of his complications was aphasia. And I remember being in with his speech therapist, and the speech therapist was talking to me and said, "Oh, your father has aphasia." And I was really confused. I said, "I thought he had a stroke." I had no idea what it was, like so many other people that don't know what aphasia is, but learned a lot and learned fast. So I certainly don't need to describe and talk about what aphasia is with this group, but I wanted to just let you know a little bit about the fact that the resources when my dad had his stroke were limited. And there were some things at the local rehab hospital. And fortunately, we stumbled upon the Aphasia Center in New Jersey on a trip. Long story short, we went, we met everybody, we saw all the wonderful things that were happening at the center. And our drive back to Maine, we were like, oh my gosh, we have to do something. This is amazing. So in 2012, we had our first Andre R. Heeman Aphasia Retreat Weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all about quality of life, new experiences, great food, even a lobster dinner, dancing, friendship, and just fun. So we started that in 2012. Here are some pictures. Part of the weekend is keeping people active, whether it's dancing, whether it's going for a walk on the beach. Being active doesn't mean you have to go skydiving. It doesn't mean you have to do extreme sports, but just moving and being active. In some of these photos, you may know Pete and Justine. Pete's in our group, came to a couple of our retreats. Justine is the executive director of TAP. And Pete joins us virtually now from North Carolina. The next, we got some folks out. The Impossible Dream comes up to Maine, and we are able to bring folks out for a beautiful cruise around Casco Bay. The gentleman in the water ski, you're going to see that water ski in action in a couple slides. That's Dean. Randy's down there riding a bike. You can see he's riding that bike using his left hand. In the middle bottom, Karen and Tina. Friendships are formed, getting out there. This was at a music festival that we had. And if there's anyone on from Adler, you might recognize those folks in the airplane. Yes, that might sound a little extreme. That's Christine and Lisa. And we had a group of 18 people that came up to our center a couple of years ago. And they took a bus from New York to Portland. We picked them up and we had a fabulous weekend with 18 folks from the Aphasia Center. We are currently virtual. We have not had our in-person retreat since the pandemic. I am so hoping for next year, 2024. We meet virtually every Monday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. We welcome people from all over. I'm looking at this screen and we have folks from as far south as Florida, a couple from North Carolina, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, the New England states. And it's just the best way, as I call them, the best people on this planet I get to start my week with on Mondays. So we are currently virtual, and all are welcome. A brief statistic, 60 million people in the US are living with a disability, yet only about 50%, half of those people, get any physical activity in their leisure time. Why do we want to get out and do things? Well, it feels good to be out with friends. You go out and you're active. You might just sleep better that night. I know that's a good one for me. You're going to feel healthy. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be happier. You might be tired. You might have some aches and pains depending on what you did, but you get out and you'll meet people. You'll have some new interests and activities. And again, it doesn't mean, you could go to an activity that is doing crafting or going for that walk type thing. It doesn't have to be an extreme sport. So we loved what we were doing with our aphasia community, and we wanted to do more. So Bruce would go out west skiing, and he would always come back and say, we need to build a lodge and we need transportation. So in 2015, we built a lodge at Sugarloaf Mountain. The top photo is a picture of our lodge, fully accessible. We sleep 25, and we're on a 2-acre lot of land in Carabasset Valley, Maine. If you don't know Maine, those are the western mountains of Maine. A little more than 2 hours, 2.25 hours northwest of Portland. Almost 2 years ago, we opened a second location in Brunswick, Maine. And this is more day center, day programming, but we do all sorts of activities at this location. Brunswick is about 30 miles north of Portland. So our facilities are a couple of hours apart, and we go back and forth. Just some photos that I'm going to pass through rather quickly to get to some of our activities that we do. On the left, Carabasset. It's a magical place. It's a magical, magical place. The lodge is magical. In Brunswick, we have an event center. We do a lot of the arts, music and theater, arts and crafts. We have a full kitchen. We're a 20-acre campus in Brunswick. Here again, gardening. It's a great activity and it's low impact. Grabbing a friend, going for a walk on the beach, playing cornhole. I show you Tina up there, just like Randy was riding the bike before, there's Tina. And Tina does not have use of that right arm, and there she is biking. That's Mark on the bottom. He's not in our aphasia group, but I love that photo. So there's Mark. Another way is to get involved with a community activity. We had a fashion show. All of these folks are in our aphasia group. Emma down at the bottom had a stroke at 9. And when I showed her pink pants, she was like, I'm a tomboy and you're going to put me in pink pants. And she had a ball. I will let you know that it's important to get the right size. Bill down on the bottom right corner, I was way off when I went to pick up the pants that he was going to wear. We finally did get the right size. But this is an event that we put on that huge self-esteem builder. And again, you're getting out there, you're mingling with other people, and you're having fun. It's all about fun.
You want me to say something now, dear? Okay.
The sailing was Bruce's cue, and I know we're nearing our time, so.
We are? Okay. So this is our sailing program. We sail out of 2 different locations. We sail on a 22-foot J22, 22-foot sailboat. We have one, this is one of the boats in the configuration, which is a normal configuration. This is Karen sailing. She was a very avid sailor. We sail three sessions a week. This is our adaptive boat. This is Bill. He does not have aphasia, but he's a quadriplegic. He is sailing the boat with that joystick.
And I'm going to play the video so that you can see it. You're going to hear, because this is out on Casco Bay, so you will hear some of the background, but it's a short video. But pay attention to his hand, his right hand, and that is how he is in control of this boat.
And that's me getting in the way.
And we have a Hoya lift that we use to get him into the boat.
Yep. So we lift him in and put him into the boat. Sailing, like most adaptive sports, you need some foam rubber, duct tape, and PVC, and you can do most anything. So our ski program, this is Sugarloaf Mountain. This young lady is our youngest participant. She's 3 years old. And our oldest participant was 95. And this little girl will steal your heart. She is a redhead.
You say ski party.
Yes, and as Bruce said, 3 is our youngest, and actually that young man was 96, honey, and he was from the Adler Aphasia Center, and he went to the top of the climbing wall. Pretty darn amazing.
Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't give up. He tried.
He did not give up.
Everybody was leaving to get on the bus. He looked at the wall and he said he's going back one more time, and he made it.
Yes.
So this is one of the adaptive methods of skiing. This would be, it was skiing with a pole. And that's to give the student something to hang on to for added security, again, safety. It's one of the items we'd normally use with a stroke victim. We would normally have a volunteer on either side, and it would be an introduction to it. There are other ways of doing it. Once they off the pole, these are tethers. That young man has autism. It's mainly a speed break for him. A lot of kids with autism, people with autism, have no fear. And if we let him off, he basically would go straight down the mountain. Another piece of equipment that's called a sit ski for people that lack mobility. Those can be skied independently by the person with training, or with a volunteer. They would be tethered similar to the young man on the left, and basically the tetherer can steer and control the ski. But there's all types of different types of equipment. This one here is called a slider. A lot of people with lower body weakness will use something like this. It is basically a walker on skis, a little bit fancier and a lot more expensive, but it's a great tool. It has handles on either side for volunteers, and the person in it has some mobility to be, and this is a Nordic setup on some Nordic trails. We have a Sugarloaf 90 some odd miles around there. This again, we have a sit ski for Nordic, and the person is in the ski, and then the volunteers behind them. This is a veterans group that was up. We do Nordic ski and biathlon with these guys, and they absolutely love it. So this is Sugarloaf again. Some of the activities. The dock the young man is on has been replaced by a fully an ADA compliant dock made of aluminum. The mountain built that for us. We have a variety of fishing rods. We have some adaptive rods that we can use. And you can see someone is quite proud of the little fish they caught. So
Not everybody wants to ski down that mountain, and not everybody wants to climb or do some of the other activities. So we also offer the arts We have music programs, theater programs, and arts and crafts. And the talent in the folks that we work with, the talent is just over the top. It's just phenomenal and so fun, so fun. I'm going to take this one because that's Dean. And Dean comes up from New Hampshire to our water sports camp. And all he wants to do is water ski. Dean has aphasia, limited mobility. The smile on that man's face will melt you. And I'm going to play this video. And this again is a little noisy and I won't play the whole thing, but I want you to take notice that Dean is not holding on to any rope. He is safe in that adaptive equipment. And he again does not have full use of his right side. But again, he is safe in there, and here we go. And he came back with the biggest smile on his face. He's always smiling, but had a ball. Now you may be wondering how it starts out. So I'm gonna show this video, and this is showing one of our staff or volunteers is in the water with that person. And then when they get the okay, then they're going to take off safely. So this is how it actually starts out. This is not Dean. And then our person drops back.
Yep. So the difference is that's the same ski. The outriggers were taken off. And where Dean had the rope fastened to a slot in the ski, he did not. So he has actually got his arms up and he's skiing with that ski. And that's the progression that you go through in using that ski. And they'll actually run a slalom course with that ski. And again, these are, the top left is a pole. This is another training device for water skiing. This would be someone that can stand up. So they will start out hanging on the pole to get the feel of it. And then the other ones are some different configurations for paddleboarding. We have a chair, so if a person needs to be seated, they can. We have a young lady without the chair. And then I'm not sure what Kay was doing with this other gentleman, but he's getting ready to go.
Yes.
A lot of the folks you see in our pictures have cognitive issues. So there may not appear to be anything, but there are a lot of autism, Down syndrome, TBIs.
We work with all ages and all abilities, as we said. Now, success does not mean getting to the top of the climbing wall. This is Karen. Karen has aphasia, and she's not at the top right there. She probably did get to the top. However, some of our folks signing up, registering for a program is success. Showing up that first day is success. Trying is success. Trusting us is success. So it's measured in all different ways. And we have so many stories with regards to success. And I'm going to share one right now. This is Tina. Tina is in our aphasia program. On the left-hand side, you're going to see again, Tina's arm on the right side is in one position. She's got her hand up top as she's going to be pulling herself up to climb up this climbing wall. I'm going to share this quick video. This is after she climbed.
I love it. I love it.
You're gonna climb again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was her first time climbing and she totally loved it. This is another super fast video. This is Jessica. And as she's coming down, take a look at her hand. She has what we call action hands, and it's helping her hand to stay up there. And you can see how she's completely strapped in. And that's another tool that we can use, another aid that we can use to help with the grip. And here's the whole thing put together. And ironically, these two men are both wheelchair users, and they both have spina bifida. The gentleman down at the bottom, his name is Enoch, and he is he climbed El Capitan. And Robbie is the climber up top. And I think when he and Sarah got married was the nicest wedding ever. Totally different kind of sport here. I would call this extreme. We also do outdoor climbing, and this is climbing at Acadia National Park up the coast in Maine. And this is a weekend. This is a full weekend. And again, all ages and all abilities can come and do this. This is one of our newer programs, Archery. This is Susan. She's also in our aphasia group, lives right around the corner from our Brunswick location, and she came and gave archery a try and had a ball. LL Beam, some of you may have heard of before, is 4 miles. Their home base is 4 miles from us. So they brought all of their archery equipment up to our Brunswick location, and we had like a big open day. So we do all sorts of activities. But my favorite is the hugs and the smiles that we get from everybody. This is Kathy. Kathy has been in our aphasia group since 2012, since the beginning. And there's nothing better for what we do than to get the smiles and the hugs, and just to see these people succeed and have fun and experience things that maybe they wouldn't have experienced before. We do have social media. Feel free to follow us, like us. If anybody has any questions at all, we are more than happy to answer questions, reach out to us personally. Yes, we are in Maine, but we have folks that come from all over the country for our programs. So I'm going to stop sharing and
there is a lot of other programs we do. We've only covered a few. One of my favorite is we have llamas that come visit us quite regularly. So the gamut of things we do is just, if somebody wants it, we usually do it. So.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing all that info. And those videos were great. It's so fun to see people really doing the activities and what it might look like. So we definitely have a bunch of questions that I'd love to try to get to as many as we can. A couple people are asking about cost. Is this something that, and I know you of course have your program, but in general, what do you know about adaptive recreation and whether insurance covers it, or if programs are free sometimes, or how does that, what about the equipment? Is that something people need to get themselves, or is it part of the program? What can you share?
All of the above. The price, and I'm going to go back to skiing. We do charge for programs. A sailing session is $8. A climbing session is $8. So we try to keep it as inexpensive as possible, realizing that the majority of people that come to us do not have the means. The Acadia weekend that you saw is 2 nights of camping, all food, all climbing. That is $150. I think we charge in the realm of $25 for 2 ski sessions. As you probably know, skiing is extremely expensive. Out west, a day lesson can be $400. It's a totally different way of doing things out there. Most places do not do anything for free. Some of the equipment you saw there, that sit ski would run $4,000. A mountain bike runs $15,000. The slider you saw is $3,600. It's an interesting dynamic because the equipment is the most expensive equipment out there, designed for the people that can least afford the most expensive equipment.
With our programs, we don't turn anybody away. So if somebody wants to participate in our programs, they are more than welcome to come. And we're also inclusive if they want to bring a friend or family member or whomever. If they want to come on their own, they just need to be able to take care of their daily needs.
Yep.
Type thing. There
We-
are some organizations and grants available for people, like people might want to have their own adaptive bike. There are places out there that will grant money in order to get your own bike. We are also at our Brunswick location, we also have started a gear library. So if somebody wants to try a piece of equipment, they can come to us and they can try that piece of equipment, like a wheelchair type thing, before they might go out and spend all that money on it. We personally do not do anything with insurance.
Mhm.
But
And
our
most programs that I know of do not.
Mhm.
Once you get involved with insurance, it's a whole nother ballgame. And it just adds a layer of management that's very difficult to deal with. So most groups.
The library idea too. That seems like a really great way to do it as well. Another question is folks are wondering how to find programs near them.
Well,
The easiest way is look up adaptive sports. They'll come up.
I did a couple of test runs on that because I know what we have here in Maine. And I think I Googled adaptive recreation, Orlando, Florida, and a whole list came up. And then I picked Kansas and a whole list came up. So they're out there. I think we're all a little bit different. We're totally different in that we have a lodge. That's not the norm, at least in the East. It's more the norm out West to have a lodge. So we can do retreat weekends. We can do water ski weekends. 2 weekends ago, we had a Wheel Together retreat, all wheelchair users, spinal cord injuries. We had a young man, he drove from Michigan to Carabasset Valley, and all wheelchair users. So the sky's the limit on what we can do.
Do you have any suggestions for what to look for in a good program?
I
People
would
that,
say, contact them and meet them and see if they fit. I know a lot of the programs, and some are okay. Some I say, this is a little sketchy.
you want to make sure that they're up on their safety, make sure that they're friendly and nice, and a smile goes a long way. If you call and leave a message and they don't respond, that tells you something. You want to have an organization that has the passion and the folks that really want to be doing what they're doing.
And I would bet, you mentioned that you work with all sorts of people. It would be nice to find a place that has some experience working with people with aphasia, I would think.
Yes, and I would also throw out there, like the Adler Aphasia group that came to visit us. We had a total Maine weekend when they came, from whoopie pies when they got on the bus to we did blueberry pie making, and we had a contest amongst them. We had a lobster dinner, and this was everybody up in Carabasset Valley. So we're not just for people that live in Maine. If somebody called and said, hey, can we do one of those fun things? You bet, we'll make it happen.
Come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Tempting
And-
everybody with food.
And I do have to do a shout out, Catherine, because when we first started, not a lot of resources out there, right? So now we have Catherine in Maine with us. And some of you might know this guy, the author of the ABCs of Aphasia, Mr. Tom Broussard. Tom, actually, we've been on some committees together. Tom has been to our Brunswick location, and we had lunch a month or so ago together. We hang in the same circles. So it's pretty nice having Tom Broussard actually here in Brunswick, Maine. Pretty awesome. Hi, Tom.
We have a specific question about golf. Someone wrote that my wife and I have always enjoyed golf, and lately she struggles with remembering a few of the fundamentals. Any suggestions of how I can help with some basic instructions or tips to, I think they mean for how to give her just instructions.
Strange you ask. We are meeting with a lady who is interested in funding a golf program for us tomorrow. And we just hired a young man, he just came on board with us. That is a golf. None of us in the present organization have ever played golf, so we never looked at it. He is a golfer, and so we are starting a program. Move United is an organization that we belong to. Excuse me. And it's got, I think, 160 organizations around the country like us. And they have certain criteria to join. So generally, if an organization is a member of Move United, you can have more confidence in their abilities, because Move United has certain prerequisites for training and different things. So I would check out those for golf. Special Olympics has a pretty good golfing program. And if you're looking to be trained, they have coaches training that you can go through that will give you some tools to help with the game. So those would be, and I'm not sure about local golf courses. I don't know a lot about golf. It's always been a 4-letter word to me. So,
Well, and you guys have volunteers. Do you have any suggestions that you give your volunteers or staff, for instance, about how to give instructions to people with aphasia who want to participate in these activities, some of which appear to be quite complicated?
Yes. All of our folks, well, first of all, they all know our story, because my dad happens to be at the forefront of everything we do, even though my dad passed before we started doing everything. And that's a question that we do get a lot is, why do you do this? Your dad isn't even living. Well, my parents lived with us, and I showered my dad. I took him to his appointments, gave him the best quality of life that we could possibly do. And the frustration, the isolation, family and friends, where did they go? And it was super important to be able to give back to the community, that my dad was a part of, and to enhance the quality of life. So that was really, really important to do that. So
we do have training that we do. We're also very fortunate. We have a lot of volunteers that are students at colleges doing PT, OT. So this is in their interest, what they're looking to do.
You forgot the most important one, honey. Speech. We partner with the University of Maine at Orono for our retreat, and the entire class of second-year grad students, they volunteer with our aphasia retreat. But if we just have somebody coming, maybe taking somebody out sailing, we'll give them tips on how to communicate with regards to, all of the tips and tricks for communication, because it's super important, super important. So yes. Aphasia is a huge part of it's a huge part of my world, because it's so special to me, and everything reminds me of my dad. But because it's where we got our start, it will always be important to our organization.
What advice would you give to someone with aphasia who's intrigued by these activities, but isn't sure about how to get into it, maybe feeling a little wary or nervous? What advice would you give them?
My favorite saying is from a famous shoe company: just do it. Just get out there and do it.
And just to try. And if you have the desire, even if you're a little timid, there will be some type of success. You will get back out there. And I'm going to share this quick story, because we had a young man sign up for water ski program. And he got there and he was terrified of the water. And one step in the water and he was shaking like a leaf. And in the end, we took the adaptive seat and we put it on land. And he sat in it on land. And that was a huge success because he wasn't going into that water, but he got a feel of what that bucket would feel like. So if you go and make that first step to go and try, sign up. And then you're going to go and hopefully you're going to go to an organization that welcomes you, makes you feel comfortable, and gives you that feeling that you are going to be safe and you're going to have fun. And building the trust in the relationship is huge, but it's not easy to walk through that door the first time. It's not. And I see it even with our virtual program. You know, they come in and we suck them right in and they keep coming back.
Do you find, or do you recommend that people stick to activities they did prior to when they had aphasia? Or do you see people trying new activities and having a lot of success and enjoyment out of that?
We see trying new things.
Mhm.
Yeah, new things. I mean, there are some that absolutely, oh, I skied before and a little nervous to get out there. And with the proper tools and the proper encouragement and knowing that they're safe, give it a shot. But we have people that had never sailed before, had never climbed before, have never gotten on a horse before, and all the other activities, you know, that we do, and surfing. They've never tried surfing or even dance, and they end up, part of it is the social aspect of it. And then, and if others that are there are educated in how to communicate with them, then it's a success. And we know, you know what, we don't always get it. You know, please repeat that. Or could we try that one more time? Kind of thing. But one of the things that usually make sure people really try hard, the word is no. Do please try so hard not to say no, because that's a negative. And instead of, you know, if my dad couldn't get a word out, it's like, let's try again. And he'd be like, oh, and we'd try it 3 times. And if he didn't get it after 3 times, we'd go on to the next.
Mhm.
But it was just keeping it positive and keeping it in the encouragement.
And there's so many times where the progress is incremental and it takes time, and not to get frustrated, because so many kids, it'll be keep trying and trying, then all of a sudden it clicks
Mhm.
and they're doing it. And that moment is incredible when they, you know, succeed and are able to do whatever the task is or that they're trying to do.
We have a comment in the chat from someone who gave hockey as an example. They said, I like hockey, but I wear an AFO. What are some ways or creative ways you guys have gotten around adaptive equipment and things that folks are using in order to be able to do these activities?
We,
PVC, duct tape, foam rubber.
well, you saw on the biking, you know, we have, I would say the majority of our folks wear them. And I can't think of any issues that we've had. We don't do hockey. That's not an activity that we do. So maybe that with all the equipment and the padding and everything, maybe that would be an issue or a concern or a challenge.
Sled hockey would be the one.
Yeah, sled hockey.
Sled hockey. Yeah.
But with the activities, I cannot think of a single time that it interfered and was a concern or a problem with what we've done.
Great. I mean, it's got adaptive right in the name. You guys are really figuring out a way to make it work.
We will do our darndest to make it work.
And do you find that after folks do a program with you, that they and maybe a family member or friend can go and do it on their own, or people typically coming back and doing it with a structured program each time?
Both.
Both.
And I think because the other piece of what we do is we would prefer that if somebody wants to ski, okay, great, come and ski, come and sign up for however many lessons you want during the ski season. But we don't want to wait another whole year to see you. So we have programming that people can participate in year round. So maybe they'll go from skiing and then into fly fishing. Or maybe they'll do a dance class, get into a theater program. Maybe they'll do some biking. And then in the summer, sailing, maybe surfing, maybe walking the mall on a rainy day, which isn't our program, but it's activity. So our goal is to keep people active and give them options year round.
And
As
in
best
the state of Maine, that's always a challenge because more often than not, you're doing the outdoor winter sports. And you mentioned, so skiing, you said sledding. What are some other winter things?
Snowshoeing,
Snowshoeing. Do you do ice fishing?
not yet,
So,
but we don't know how to say no. So, people will come to us and say, what about? And we'll kind of think it through and like, okay, let's try it. Like equine, we did not have a horse program. And then somebody was like, what about? So then we formed an equine program, that type of thing. So we're just not good at saying no because we have so much fun with everything as well.
and one of the challenges in Maine, which is a challenge everywhere, is transportation. Because it's so spread out and our activities go from Aroostook County, which is northern Maine, to the southern tip of Maine. So you're talking almost 400 miles distance between different programs. So it is one of the challenges, and it's not a huge population, so everybody's pretty spread out.
Mhm.
But transportation is a problem anywhere too, I think. So-
But we're a little unique in that aspect. We do have a bus, we have a wheelchair bus, and we have a van. And we have been known to travel. Well, I'll give you an example. We had a craftcation weekend for our folks living with aphasia up in Carabasset. So we were all up in Carabasset. Bruce drove the 2+ hours to Portland to pick up someone, brought them back, spent the day, brought them back to Portland, and came back. So we will jump through hoops for folks the best we can. We will make things happen.
Well, you guys have made a lot of things happen. Really, I bet we could keep talking about all the activities that you all are doing, but I'm looking at the clock and it's getting close to 8 o'clock. So I think we got to most of the questions. We have a note from the NAA president in the chat commenting on how clear that you are wonderful, warm, compassionate, committed leaders.
Oh, thank you.
Which, like you said, I think it sounds like, yeah, you can have the top-notch technology for whatever sport is, but it's all about the people and relationships. So
It's and our staff is passionate. Our staff is, our staff gets it, and that's hugely important. And like at our aphasia retreat, it's all staff is on board for that. But I'm the one that organizes all of that. And with our virtual program, I also want to just reiterate that we do welcome people from all over. So if anybody is interested, we're not your typical support group, I guess. We're more, I would say, a communication group. And the friendships that have formed on Monday mornings are just phenomenal. And when I wake up on Monday morning and I know I'm going to be seeing these folks, a lot of them sign on earlier than 10 o'clock and they chat amongst themselves. And then I'll pop on and they're like, oh, there she is. And I'm like, here I am. I'll get off. You guys run it today. And it's just all about sharing and supporting. And if somebody can't get that word out, well, guess what? The next person next to them is, it's okay. Take your time. It's okay. And the support amongst everybody is just phenomenal. It's beautiful.
And I tell everybody, reach out to us. Don't hesitate to call us. If you have a question or if you're in a different part of the country, you can give me a call and maybe I know some people there, or I can do some research on the different organizations, and we don't mind doing that at all.
Yeah, happy to help.
I'll share the contact info, or at least the websites you can go to learn more about the programs that Annemarie and Bruce have been sharing with us. So the Adaptive Outdoor Recreation Center or Education Center is adaptiveoutdooreducationcenter.org. And then the Aphasia Center of Maine is aphasiacenterofmaine.org. And then, of course, if you want more information about the National Aphasia Association, you can visit us at aphasia.org. And to see our upcoming virtual events, go to aphasia.org/online-events. Our next Ask the Expert webinar is going to be in 2 months, Thursday, September 14th, and we'll be talking with Dr. Rebecca Pompin of the University of Delaware about aphasia and depression to kick off a series of expert presentations about aphasia and mental health.
Nice.
And finally, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about Ask the Expert, feel free to email me at catherine@aphasia.org. So thank you all for joining us this evening. A big thanks to Annemarie and Bruce for sharing your passion and your programs. It was a pleasure to have you tonight.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for bearing with us with our technical challenges at the beginning.
No worries. So
Great.
glad to have you both. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.